that really is something that, makes people feel comfortable, and is important if you're going to take video of people.
Okay, so then you ask that question, you get an affirmative, everybody's okay with the camera. A minute later, someone walks in. I mean, it's.
You ask that person.
Then you
We're
ask them.
talking about presenters.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so if you-
Videotaping
Well-
presenters or?
Jim has a habit of turning the camera around, which may bite you in the butt one of these days. Because you have to have consent in advance or you can be sued.
Why
Just
can't you
tell
put
them.
it on the door? This conference is going to be filmed.
Because
If you
what
don't
if
want to
you're-
be filmed,
What if
don't
the
come in.
conference? What if the topic that you really want, you're coming
Right.
to conference for, you get into the room and you realize it's being streamed, and that's just something that you just absolutely cannot have
Put
happen.
it on the door.
Right. But what I'm
Right,
saying is,
yeah.
I drive 6.5 hours from Rochester specifically for this talk. I don't sit there and read the long list of everything on the site all the time. Maybe I'm being dragged by my roommate or something like that. I get here and the one thing I came for was streamed, and there's just no way that that's okay with me.
Yeah.
Now
Okay, so-
I've come here for no reason.
Right.
All right, so we
exactly.
need to resolve this, but we don't have time today to do
Yeah.
that.
This is
right?
but you see, this is a conversation that we've been having for years.
Yeah.
We don't have a solution yet, and this conversation just needs to keep happening.
Well, I have at least one thing to put out there. We go to socialism conference every year, and I don't mind saying I'm an open socialist. Sorry. What we do is we record all the talks, and they go on weareready.com.
It's .org.
.org. Thank you. Always.
We do that
always.
too.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what we do is we record all the talks have a speaker, and the speaker is recorded, and then there's a conversation afterwards. Now that wouldn't work for every single one of these, but for quite a bit of them. And the conversation afterwards, although it's awesome and valuable, is not recorded for anonymity's sake.
That's a
That
great
would be
suggestion.
really, really great, because now you have, almost all of this, except for the Birds of a Feather talks, are now recorded and online, and people who can't make it to con,
Well, the Birds of Feather
We
are
really care.
recorded when I'm in one of them. So, yeah.
hopefully with people's consent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be terribly not,
Yeah.
that's a different conversation, but.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up has to do with getting the presentations and putting them on the website. Because what I saw throughout the weekend, after every talk, was how can I get this slide deck? Do you have a USB
Oh,
key?
yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
What I
we
really
worked on
like,
that. Scott and I really tried this year, but
We contacted the presenters and
Many times.
Many times.
we asked the presenters many times.
The problem is many of them, and many of us would do the same exact thing,
Yeah,
came up with their presentation the night before or the night of. We're gonna ask them again.
Yeah, that's gonna be in the email that goes out to presenters after con. The big thank you email will include a, hey, share your slide deck with us.
Yeah, we have a presentation.
Well, so in
I know.
the process of signing up for something, maybe that could be one of the questions. Where's your slide deck?
Well, it could be a
Well-
good
Well,
touch
yeah,
track.
unfortunately, when people sign up for something, they don't have their
Yeah.
slide deck.
Yeah,
It's
if
just-
somebody's not gonna do it till the night before, you just want,
Well,
you gotta
yeah.
do it afterwards. What I just wanted to say before we move on, since we got very little time left, is that we have a place on the web for presentations. We only have like 3 of them up there. However, I do have about 40 emails that I have not even looked at,
Okay.
and some of them do include presentations.
I'll go back and get them, but I was
So-
told,
Lizzie!
you need to put it on your own website.
Yeah,
I just-
we're posting links to them.
Yeah, we have not set that up. Sorry, Lizzie. Matt is working on that as part of Tux Tracks, so maybe that'll work out, but just as of right
I've
now.
worked on conferences where one of the requirements was you're not officially confirmed until we've seen your presentation.
Well,
We're
we're
not
not
gonna-
gonna do
No.
that.
Just-
Lizzie? Lizzie, you've been waiting
Yes,
so
I just want to
patient.
bring in the slap of reality, which is the storage cave and logistics of all of this. If you go out and buy all these cameras, you are going to also have to buy the appropriate equipment to house them during an entire year with the weather and everything else. You don't have the room in your storage.
I want Cisco to
Right
loan,
now.
loan them to us as well.
So there is logistical concerns with this that go into it. Please consider them before you do it.
It
I don't
sounds
care, I don't care about the permissions. Logistically, pay attention.
We need a
There
bigger
is
cave.
no more room.
We need a bigger cave.
Yes.
How much more would another storage space cost us?
Just a bigger storage space rather than another storage space.
Yeah.
No, we need another because our truck doesn't fit in our storage space.
I'll
Are
address it
you
with the
going to the
board.
bigger truck next year? No, you can't, you said.
No, I'm not driving. I have a CDL, I'm not driving a CDL
We're gonna need a
license
semi
vehicle.
next year to deliver
I
this.
am not your,
We need to hire somebody to drive a semi?
You've got an awful lot of people with vans.
That's,
Oh,
Oh, no.
That's not
No.
so good quantity. We have an incredible quantity of stuff that comes to the
We
con.
do a 26-foot truck packed.
Two times.
We did it just for confusion.
Yeah.
no,
That's the
my
first this year.
budget for confusion versus my budget for Penguicon. Penguicon's budget beats Confusion's budget 3-4 times over. So I just logistically for Penguicon cannot. I could make that work for Confusion, but I could not for Penguicon at this
And then it
time.
can be packed floor to ceiling, you don't
Otherwise I
need
would,
shelves.
trust me.
You need to find someone.
We don't really, the only things we use from the storage.
No, we need a truck, we need a truck and a facility that work together.
Lithy, Alice had a really good suggestion of using a pod.
Storage pod.
I agreed, I brought that up years ago, I second that vote.
It's on the wiki. But you brought it up.
it's the only thing you can find on the wiki.
Let's make that happen. I think
So-
that's a great
So a
idea.
storage pod, then where does it sit? I guess.
They-
I
that's-
they
go,
store it in
their
I
facility.
bring my pod,
Right.
and then I go
They-
pick up my
Yes,
pod.
and then you don't have to
And
deal
then,
with.
and no truck.
Right.
This is the truck for the food then.
Well,
need food.
the difference would basically be that you would just need to, you know, make sure to, I mean, I'm sure you do this already, but itemize stuff before it goes in there, because you're never gonna see it again until you need it.
Yeah.
And make sure you take out anything, like, for
Wait
instance,
for
the game
SMOS
library,
or-
or
right.
SMOS foods, or,
You
know, whatever.
can get access to it. They will take it down for you. Like if you go to the facility, they
Oh.
charge you for it.
Mhm.
But you can get it.
Right.
We really, I mean, did we go to storage one time this year, except for when you and I did the
I went
inventory?
to storage 6 times
You-
this year,
Okay.
yes.
For what reasons?
Penguin Camp, there were
Okay.
2 SMOS dinners. There was somebody borrowed a something, I met some board director that borrowed
Oh, yeah.
something. So the
Remember
board
that? Needed
has.
the keys from me.
Yep, so there's a number, we went in and inventoried.
Right.
Inventory going out of the building after con is not gonna happen. Y'all
Sure.
can sit there and say, we wanna do it,
No, no, I
we have the
understand.
greatest, we never do it. It's just too much of a hard time at that time.
Right.
But if they can bring it down and you can.
But if we can
inventory
pot
that
it
time,
and open it once a year to do an inventory,
Yeah, even a separate, a much smaller cave type thing for things you might need for SMOSs and.
because
and
we've
library.
just worked about 4,000 hours in a 48-hour weekend, and most of us are too
You can't
tired.
get volunteers to do
No,
that?
I can't.
No,
Would you
no.
like
I
to?
can.
Yeah, that would be great, if we could get you on pack-in and have you contact volunteers, or pack out.
I
That
didn't
would be
really
great.
come to join the con, but I can do that.
I know, and that's the problem, is that those of us that are left on Monday, which are usually about 5 or 6 of us, have
Well,
to
I'm
do it
thinking
all.
of leaving the state, but I can do that. You know, if I only have to
It'd be
be
great.
here 3 days a year, yeah. I
Yeah,
can
it would
do
be
that.
great. Contact volunteers, we'll hook you up, and we'd love it.
It's easy.
And if you can find anybody else, have them do the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's a good place to
Have you,
bring this to a close.
can I make one comment, which is the whole
may.
reason I came here?
Oh, sure.
I went to your healthcare panels a weekend long, and they didn't really address healthcare. They addressed an issue. Like the future of healthcare was genomics, which most people couldn't even spell, okay, or understand what it meant. Next year, I would like to suggest the same idea, but with more audience input. Perhaps make it an hour and a half or 2 hours, but leave
So
substantial space.
here's, let me solve that for you. Go make a BOF. Create a BOF,
Birds of a
birds of
feather.
a feather.
Okay.
So you go out there, and, you know, just a few months before Penguicon, and you go put this little piece of information in that you want to do this, and then people who are interested in the same thing will get in the room and talk.
One thing that we have is in our suggestion area for suggesting a panel, we allow people who want to be on a panel, but want to see a panel to make suggestions. and
We've
to
got
see-
a couple of people who would be interested in making a panel, but they were afraid to come, they didn't know how to set it up. They've
So you
never
missed,
done
you
this
missed the BOF
before.
just before this about why didn't you come and present? And that, we talked about that for 50 minutes. I think that that's a really solvable thing. And we've got head of programming here who attended that and has got these ideas on how the tools that we're building will allow you to put in a suggestion that you want to see someone else do. And I think they'll probably mention that at closing
Yeah, you'll
ceremonies.
hear about Tux Tracks.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a full, we did a full interview with Matt about what Tux Tracks is and where he's planning on having it go for the year. And that'll be available on the website.
Awesome.
For people to understand what we're really suggesting panels.
So good segue to what do we need to do for next year?
Yeah, that's a good segue to next year. So we're gonna kick off, I mean, we'll have our first Concom with SMOS in the really near future. Don't have a date exactly yet. I need at least a week to sleep. I think all of us
Oh
do.
my gosh, see some friends that, sorry, I love you all, but, you know, come to PenguicCon.
Are there any?
I have a couple. I have a really short now.
Why aren't you doing your job and getting them here?
And then after that, we're gonna start rolling immediately. So, but this thing all requires volunteer participation. We can't do it without you. We can't keep the lights on without you. So if you want to be involved in a volunteer capacity, or if you want to be something more like staff, you know, we may have a track head vacancy or two. I mean, people throughout the year may come and go. Maybe they'll decide next week that it was too much work and they'll wanna not do it again next year. Or we may not ask them back. I mean, not just necessarily a track head, but maybe there's some staff that, you know, we think we could better allocate somebody. So if you want to be involved, let us know.
That's the culture of PenguicCon.
Yeah, I guess-
Is if you have something that you want to see better, please
The culture of all
just jump in.
I guess the question I was going to ask is, this is my first time coming here, so.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm from like Ann Arbor, Ipsy area, and I help out with a lot of DIY venues there and stuff, and try to set up weird shows and stuff. So and it always runs into the problems of like organization and stuff. So if I find something that I think is organized pretty decently, and I like the general ideas behind it, I always want to try to be a part of it. So I guess.
Hey, there was a compliment in there for us. I heard pretty decent organization.
We're taking it.
I'm just taking that,
I guarantee. I mean, I would say to help with like what you guys are doing, but from just organizing other things on my own, it's just there's going to be problems. I can imagine, especially in a venue this.
There's
huge.
always challenges.
Yeah.
You should see your
Yeah.
spreadsheets.
If you're at all interested in getting involved with operations, I'd love to have someone like you.
Yeah. Oh, sweet.
Talk to me
Cool.
about
There we go.
Nick Farr ran operations
Our
shifts.
former
was
guest of
my
honor.
So fun.
Former guest of
to do
honor.
Yeah, he was amazing.
And he's one of the coolest
I mean,
hackers
we
in the
really-
world. I mean, the guy is
I mean, we
amazing.
are really truly 100% volunteer run. Everything that happens, everything you saw, you know, that happened this weekend, if it happened, it was because somebody cared about it enough to make it happen. And the only way, you know, it's a joke around here, but, you know, if somebody says, you know, this thing wasn't that good, or I didn't like it, or, you know, why didn't you do it this way? Someone lovingly says, that's great, thank you for the feedback. If you'd like to make it better, come on in.
Yeah.
We'd love to have your help, but, you know, otherwise,
So,
you know.
Tracks grow and die by people not
so
loving.
yeah, I guess my question
Absolutely.
is like, what is the best route in order to help you guys like, you know, organize things, or just like become part of staff, or is it just me asking you?
Well,
Essentially?
Come
There's
to
a-
a SMOS meeting.
Okay.
You know, we have a
Come to a
Concom
Concom in
meeting.
SMOS.
Yeah.
And you can also, we have a website, 2014.penguicon.org/contribute, and you can go put your info in there, and someone will get in touch with you and talk to you about what, you know, what you're most interested in doing and what would be a good fit for you, and that's open for everybody.
Yeah. And if you have thoughts.
It's in this souvenir book.
It's in the souvenir book,
Okay.
and if you have thoughts and you want to put them somewhere else besides coming to a meeting, if nothing was covered here that you wanted to talk about, go to 2014.penguicon.org/feedback.
Okay.
And that's on the back of your badge.
And we'll go through that.
Okay.
That's written on the back of your badge.
So that answers it.
And, you know, like to recruit you for all the other computer clubs and stuff around here. There's lots of the things that you can get involved in.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks
not
for the-
necessarily a tech person. I know plenty of people
being
that do, but my specialty stuff's more like sex positive
So I was
stuff.
kicking you out.
Thank you.
Like weird entertainment stuff, like like.
We love
I
that
really
kind of
like that,
after
by the
dark.
way.
Yeah, well, after
Maybe
dark.
girls to do burlesque
That's
and
awesome.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god, well, I would so love
I would
that.
love to see burlesque show.
We would love to see
Oh, yeah,
burlesque.
I mean, I
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was
That's
talking
going in
about
my notes.
burlesque?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, even
Yeah.
panels.
Yeah, panels, panels.
Very good point.
I'm really excited about your idea for burlesque
I don't
panels.
know.
Yeah, right, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I.
Write it down now.
Yeah.
I also.
Tell me your name and your
Just have to
email
buy
address.
things
Allison
expensive, or I'll go buy things expensive.
Header
Actually, that's not
Okay,
HETTER,
thank you.
and then my email address is abhetter@gmail.com.
We'd like to see our After Dark track be more than just Poly Kink.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be so great.
Polly got moved. Polly's not in After Dark anymore. It's in Life because
Sure.
there's nothing
Nothing
After Dark
scandalous
about being
about
Polly. So I moved it out. So now that After Dark
Says
is
your
like
culture.
just kink and sex and like that's it. So
Yeah.
I would like for it to be more
I
than
went to a
that.
couple of them, it's really interesting, but like, at least some things I know people, they also talk about like, you know, obviously like sex education, like proper sex education, and then like also like, when I lived in Chicago, I hung out with, SWAP, which is the Sex Workers Outreach Project.
Yeah.
So that's like actually proper education on like, that'd be good.
Yeah,
Sex work.
sex work
It's
panels
not-
would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, so it's
I
not
know.
like, it's to try to like
Yeah.
tell the truth
I
of
wish
what
we
actually
just ordered
happens,
pizza up there.
because there's always miscommunication with sex trafficking, I can go with
Yeah.
that.
I
We
have a
have
friend
to, we
who
have
was-
to get out of the room.
Yeah.
As the head of programming, I can't condone us staying in the room.
I have a
But I
friend
want
who
to talk
works-
to the two of you more about